All right, let's talk about a story that pretty much never makes the front page, but it affects every single person who writes one. We're talking about mental health in the newsroom. So let's dive into what might be the most important story you ever work on, which is, of course, your own. You've probably heard this one before, right? If you don't have a thick skin, there's no place for you in the newsroom. This isn't just some tough love advice. It's one of the most common and, frankly, damaging myths in our industry. It's a line so many of us have been told and have really taken to heart. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to completely dismantle that idea. In this first part, we'll get into the thick skin myth and all these other beliefs that have become so normal in newsrooms that we forget just how much harm they're actually doing. And yeah, that thick skin thing, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. We're also told we have to detach ourselves completely from our stories. Or, if something is too upsetting, then hey, maybe this job isn't for you. And then there's the big one, that journalism is this noble calling. It's not about things like, paying your bills. It all feeds into this one central crazy idea that you're not a human being, you're some kind of reporting robot. Okay, so if not having a thick skin isn't the real problem, then what is? In this next section, we're going to pinpoint the actual tangible things that cause the immense mental strain journalists are under every single day. And wow, when you start listing them out, it's a lot. And research shows this stuff is pretty much universal no matter where you work. It kicks off with constant exposure to trauma, which is often the very thing that makes something newsworthy. Then you pile on insane workloads, impossible deadlines, and this rising tide of harassment, both online and in person. And on top of that, you've got bad management, constant job insecurity, zero organizational support, and the heavy weight of all those ethical dilemmas. And as if that whole list wasn't enough, a brand new stressor has just entered the chat: AI. Yeah, journalists are now dealing with this very real anxiety about being replaced by artificial intelligence. Plus, all the pressure to keep up with the tech so they don't get left behind. It's relentless. So what happens with all this pressure? I mean, it has to go somewhere, right? It doesn't just vanish. It builds up, and it shows up in some pretty serious, recognizable ways. So next, let's look at those red flags, the real-world consequences of all this unchecked pressure. And this right here is the perfect example of the disconnect. The expectation, the myth, is to detach yourself so you can be objective. But the human reality of trying to do that, it's emotional numbness. You're told over and over to suppress your feelings for the job. And then one day you realize you can't feel joy in your own life. You can't connect with your family. You can't even enjoy a movie that you know you would have loved. And that feeling of numbness, that's just one piece of the puzzle. We're talking about serious, documented cases of PTSD from covering traumatic events. It leads to sleep deprivation, to actual physical pain, a complete loss of motivation, of creativity. It makes you irritable. It strains your relationships, and it leaves you feeling totally helpless and disconnected. And for a lot of people, the end result is just walking away from a career they once poured everything into. Okay, so that was a lot. And it's heavy stuff, for sure. But here's the important part. We're not just going to leave it there. There are real, concrete things that we can do. So let's shift gears and look at a practical toolkit, real strategies for protecting your well-being. All right, so after hearing all of that, the big question is, what can we actually do about it? Where do we even start to push back against this whole culture? Well, it all starts with this one simple but incredibly hard step. You just have to acknowledge the pressure exists. You have to stop pretending you're some kind of superhuman robot who can handle anything and everything without it taking a toll. The myth tells you to ignore it. The reality is, just recognizing the problem is the only starting point for real change. Once you've done that, once you've acknowledged it, you can start building some real resilience. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Set firm boundaries. Seriously, separating your work life from your home life isn't a weakness, it's just good professional practice. Step 2. Be honest. Talk to your managers if your workload is crushing you. It is your right to voice that. Step 3. Find your people. You are not the only one feeling this way, I promise. Talk to colleagues you trust. And finally, step 4, seek professional help. Therapy is a tool for strength. Let's kill this stigma that you have to be insane to see a therapist. It's just not true. Okay, this brings us to the final and honestly, the most important takeaway from all of this. It's all about reframing this entire conversation.
not as some personal weakness, but as a vital part of journalism itself.
I really want this to sink in. It is not your duty to be a robot journalist. It is absolutely okay that you are not always okay. That's a permission slip we all need to give ourselves, and we need to give it to each other.
So what do you do with that permission? Well, you do what you do best. You talk about it, you write about it, you use your incredible skills to investigate this, to expose it, and to break this culture of silence, just like you would for any other important story. Because really, at the end of the day, your most important story just might be your own. So the final thought I'll leave you with is this. What would happen if we all decided to make our own well-being a headline?